Discourse episode 20 with Nathan Oakley. He and I go way back. I want to give a warm welcome to Nathan. I want to say thank you very much, Nathan, for coming on this channel. This may seem like enemy, quote unquote, enemy territory, but I really appreciate you coming out, and I hope we have a good 1 hour conversation. Nathan, you want to introduce yourself and we'll get started.
Sure. I'm Nathan Oakley. Subscribe today to Nathan Oakley 1980 and Nathan Oakley channel, respectively, if you're watching this on Charles's channel. I'm here for one reason and one reason alone. That is to say that Charles has left himself in a little paradox after his return and after his discussion with Chemo, which is my first introduction or reintroduction to Charles. Now he's back. And yeah, I want to rub that right in his face. So that's the only reason I'm here.
Okay. So just to recap, when I was having first off, way back, the last conversation we had, there was a focus on, presumption of an R value. So it seemed that there was an argument, where the globers will do X, Y, Z, and then the flat Earth argument was that, well, that's because globers are presuming that the radius of the Earth is 3959 or something like that. I might be misquoting you. And then the point that I was trying to make is that, well, you could do the explorations on my channel and there's no presumption of an R value. Yes, I believe the Earth is a sphere and spheres have radiuses, but you could throw 3959 out the window. You could pick any other number, right? And the explorations would work just fine.
Sorry, pick any other number, meaning you'd still be assuming R then?
No. We would not be assuming R. Meaning, so, and this is my big point of, and I think maybe you misunderstand me. If I say sphere, I don't say sphere with a given radius. It could be a large sphere, it could be a small sphere.
Did we not cover that in your chat? All spheres have a radius, don't they, Charles?
But spheres have a radius. They also have a circumference.
Stop. So all spheres have a radius. Thank you, Charles. Can we just make a little note? I'll just write that down. Shall I?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We've got that established, firm and true. All spheres have a radius value. That's right. You think you live on a sphere, and that sphere has a radius value. Glad we've got that established. How do you measure that in physical reality, Charles?
Well, you don't measure it until you figure out the shape of the Earth, and that really is a big point of contention, because one of the easiest ways to measure the radius of a sphere is using a method that doesn't work if it's not a sphere. So the classic Eratosthenes, if the Earth is flat, Eratosthenes, the method will appear to give a measurement, but if the Earth is flat, the measurement is actually, it could be used to figure out the height of the sun.
Well, that's lovely.
So Eratosthenes...
No, that's not correct. You can't figure out the height of the sun.
Okay.
Well, how are you going to do that? It's an apparent object. I mean, let's not get off track. You've said if the Earth is flat and you do Eratosthenes, well, that doesn't get you to a sphere belief. How do you measure the geometry of... My bad. How do you measure the assumed geometry, that would be your sphere belief? How do you measure it? The R value. It's definitely there, 3959. How do you measure it? Simple question. How do you measure it?
Yes, Eratosthenes.
No, you just described that with a flat Earth.
Starting with a sphere.
Well, that's begging the question. Stop.
Sure.
That's begging the question. We discussed this before we went live. So you're just going to assume your outcome. That's a logical fallacy, Charles. You're not aware of that logical fallacy called begging the question?
So I am aware of it, and that was actually one of my pre-show notes.
You're uncomfortable? You're scratching your back of your neck like you're really uncomfortable,
Yes,
Charles.
I'm scratching back.
Yeah.
I'm coming down with a
how do you measure that R?
So question for you, Nathan, is when you say begging the question...
Question for you. How do you measure R? That's your sphere belief. It's the basic principle. It's in the maths that asserts that the sphere edge is represented by the horizon with a radius 3959. You told Spurs that it was refracted, that's the horizon, but very close to the geometry. Well, I want to know how you measure that geometry to make the assertion to Spurs that it's very close to it. How did you know it was close to it? How did you measure it to know it's close to it? Same question.
Well, for starters, you don't need to know R to know about downward pointing refraction.
Sorry, how do you measure R? How do you measure it?
So, but I've already answered you. How do you measure R? You can perform the Eratosthenes experiment or a variation.
No, that's begging the question. I've covered that. I've covered that.
But that's step 2.
Charles, repeat after me. That would be begging the question.
Yeah. Okay. So my question: when you say
stop.
Don't
just say yes.
Begging the question. What do you mean by that?
I mean, you're assuming your outcome. The thing you're trying to prove is that you're on a sphere, and you're assuming it That's begging.
No, that's step 2.
My bad. That's begging the question. It's a logical fallacy. Yeah, you're nodding along with me there, Charles. Just calm your tongue, Charles. No need to interrupt me. It's very rude. I thought we were going to have a civil disclosure. Yeah, you grinned for me.
And you're not letting me get a word in edgewise.
I thought a civil disclosure would involve me pointing out that you're begging the question, you agreeing, which you did, yeah? Then not just carrying on assuming your outcome. It's a logical fallacy. I prefer you didn't just assume the thing you're trying to prove, Charles.
So Nathan, I've said this many, many times, and I did say it just now. Step 1 is to determine the shape of the Earth.
Well, begging the question.
Is to measure its size.
Begging the question.
So
begging the question.
If you...
Yeah, begging the question. Charles, that's the third time. Third time.
What?
Do we need to just stop here? Do I need to leave? Because it seems you're not reasonable. This isn't a reasonable discourse. It's, I point out you've used a logical fallacy, and then you insist 3 times that you assume your outcome. That's the logical fallacy you've agreed to.
I don't know the shape of the Earth.
I can't stay if it's not going to be you reasonably admitting the concession that you have given and then just using it immediately after. Now, that's not reasonable.
So Nathan,
it's not civil.
I am
You're
not
being
assuming.
civil. Can you be civil? You've conceded it's a begging the question fallacy to assume the thing you're trying to prove. Let's not say, well, what I've got to do is assume
I'm
what the
not
Earth
begging
is
the
first.
question because we're not starting with step 2. So we're going to start with step 1, which is to figure out the shape of the Earth, and we don't figure out the shape of the Earth using Eratosthenes.
Okay, figure out. That would be to measure. Figure out. So do the figures.
No, not measure.
Stop.
Absolutely not measure.
Stop. You said we'll figure out the shape. That would be to measure it. Figures, measuring.
No.
Well, they've already got an assumption that the Earth's a sphere. You told us at the beginning of the show that your assumption is Earth's a sphere. You've already made that assumption. Now I want to know, given that all spheres have a radius, I know you're desperate to interrupt me there, Charles, with your little smug grin. I don't mind. I'm nearly there. You just maybe pop yourself on mute before I get to the end of my sentence. There you go. Have a drink. That'll relax your nerves. So we're going to figure it out. You already assume a sphere, Charles. So how do you measure the R value that all spheres, that'll be the one you assume, has? How do you measure it in physical reality?
So I don't assume it's a sphere. I make careful observations using the 20 or so explorations on my channel, none of which involve measuring the size of the Earth.
I left a comment. That's a lie. Stop.
Okay.
That's a lie.
So
stop. That's a lie.
If you use
Stop. That's a lie.
I
Sorry,
let you speak
you said
for
at the
about 2
beginning of the show, if there's a real reason to interrupt, if there's a real overriding objection like you lying, right? That would be a reasonable reason to interrupt you, Charles.
You're
not reasonable then.
If you make these observations, Nathan,
sorry, Charles.
There's about 20 of them. None of them will give you the size of the Earth.
Charles, have you muted me?
No, I've not muted you.
Right. You said before the show started, if there's a reasonable reason to interrupt you, like you lying about your explorations that don't assume a sphere. Now, I've gone to your videos prior to this discussion and quoted you where you assume a sphere in those videos. Have you noted your comments in YouTube where I've quoted you? If the Earth is a sphere, that's what is quoted as you saying in your own video. You're now lying about that assumption that you don't need to. There's that grin again. Hey, Charles, that's a nice grin. Hey, yeah, Charles, so Nathan, stop. Haven't finished. Just pointing out that you're grinning, haven't quite finished. Let's be civil. Let's be civil. Let's be civil. So I've pointed out that you're lying. You definitely do assume the Earth's a sphere in your explorations on your channel. I've looked and quoted you. So why are you lying?
So, Nathan, I don't assume the Earth is a sphere. I assume that we don't know the size of the shape of the Earth.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
And so,
welcome to Flat Earth.
The Earth, if you actually listen to the introduction to just about every single one of those presentations, they talk about the Earth could be a flat plane, the Earth could be a sphere, we could not know what the shape of the Earth is, but you could make these careful observations, and then I say, if the Earth is flat, we might expect to see X, Y, Z, and then I also say, if the Earth is a globe,
there it is.
We might expect to see A, B, and C.
Stop. So you do assume the Earth is a sphere. So you're saying you don't assume a sphere because you hold it up as a false dichotomy fallacy? No, you definitely do.
Okay,
stop.
So now
I'm in the middle of a sentence. I've got 10 seconds. My God, check out that grin. He can't wait to interrupt me like the triggered fundy is. Smile for me. Yeah, that's right. So just because you've wrapped it up in a little false dichotomy, grinning, smug git, you think that's not you assuming? Yeah. Look down. Look down while you lie, and I point it out for your audience, Charles. Yeah, look down at the floor, at your shoes, in shame. That's correct. Just because you wrap it up in a false dichotomy fallacy, hide your face too. Hide your shame. You lied. You wrapped up your assumption in a false dichotomy fallacy, and now you're lying about needing to assume the Earth's a sphere. You do. It's done in every one of your videos. I quoted you, now you're lying about it. Now that we've established that you are in fact a liar, you do assume it as a false dichotomy fallacy. That would be you assuming Earth's a sphere and then juxtaposing against another reification you're going to hold up in false dichotomy. Second time. So you're a liar. You definitely assume the Earth's a sphere, you smug grinning git. So, why are you lying to your audience about assuming the sphere and not needing to assume the sphere? Why are you lying?
I am not lying.
You are lying. It's a false dichotomy fallacy that you are assuming a sphere in. You lying, smug, grinning git.
You just interrupted me after 4 words.
Yeah, because you're a liar. You've denied lying, and I've pointed out by example. In your video, by way of false dichotomy, you assume Earth is a sphere. You momentarily ago lied about needing to do that in your video. You do. You did it by way of false dichotomy, and now you're lying about it. Not civil. Don't think that being civil involves interrupting me while I point out that you're lying to me and you're lying to your audience. That's not civil discussion. That's a lying, grinning con artist who's been caught lying with the fallacy he's used to lie pointed out to him. That would be... That would be... Do you need to interrupt this? Because you're going to try and dance around your lie. Look down at those shoes, my friend. Look down. Yeah? You lied. You did assume the Earth's sphere. You did it by way of false dichotomy. Do you want to address the false dichotomy in which you assume the sphere rather than just saying you haven't assumed it? Because you have. Don't lie and start by saying you haven't.
May I speak?
You have my permission, you lying smug bitch. Why are you lying to your audience about needing to assume a sphere when you do it with false dichotomy? Simple. You may speak.
All right, so the false dichotomy charge...
Stutter for me, yes, stutter around it.
4 words in again before your interruption.
Yeah, I'm pointing out that you're stuttering like a man against the wall. Now grin.
So Nathan, the intention of this conversation is that we talk with each other like people.
So we've got a false dichotomy fallacy that he's lying about. He's lying about using a sphere assumption. He does it in his video. He just said he didn't need to by way of false dichotomy. I don't want to know what we're here for. I'm here to point out you're a liar. This is the lie I'm here for.
And I just want to point out that Crow XE points out that the sphere and its radius are not assumed. They're not assumed by us.
They are assumed by way of false dichotomy. You are a liar.
So false dichotomy, whether the Earth is flat or the Earth is a sphere,
is your assumption it's a sphere.
You can push back.
Yeah. It's your model assumption you're holding up in false dichotomy with your side declared as true as the Earth being a sphere. There's the assumption in the false dichotomy that you're now lying about.
But here's the thing.
But you're a liar.
If you make careful observations, you may conclude that the Earth is a, rhombic dodecahedron or something.
Sorry, non sequitur fallacy. Non sequitur fallacy. Non sequitur fallacy. It's not civil when I interrupt you to point out that that's a non sequitur fallacy when your false dichotomy has your sphere assumption you're lying about.
So I have told no lies.
You lied and said you did not need to assume a sphere when you assume it by way of false dichotomy. That's the 4th time I've pointed out your overt lie.
So Nathan...
where'd you get R? I'm sick of your lies about you saying you don't need R. You definitely do. Where'd you measure it?
In the last
Where'd you measure it?
6 years of interaction with Flat Earth folks on YouTube.
Where'd you measure R? Don't talk about your interactions. Non sequitur. We started by asking where R is.
I've never lied.
You've said you don't need it. Now, I've pointed out in your video where you need it. You need it when you hold it up.
Where do I need R?
Stop. You said you don't need it. I've now pointed out... Stop. You said you don't need it. I've pointed out where in your video you need it. You need R when you hold it up in false dichotomy. Now, unless you're going to deny that that was your false dichotomy with a sphere that needs R in it, we can move on. Because you definitely have a false dichotomy, your side of which needs R. Where'd you measure it in physical reality? The false dichotomy globe you held up. Where'd you measure the R for that globe?
So the one part of your argument that has validity is that you could accuse me of a false dichotomy. And
yeah, I know. I've won that fucking point, you spastic. Yeah, I know.
Allow me to finish.
Yeah, Charles.
Okay.
Charles, me and everyone in the audience knows I've won that point.
Please
yeah, Charles, stop.
Right?
Stop. Charles, we all know. Charles, stop. We all know I've won that point. Now my question has moved on to where do you measure R in physical reality? The original question you subterfuged away from by way of saying you didn't need it. I've pointed out you do. It's held up in false dichotomy. Now I'm asking again, after you segue away from where you measure R, where you measure R.
Okay, give me at least 22 seconds to respond.
I'll give you what I choose to give you, Charles, right? Okay. I'll give you what I choose to give you. Give me R, the measurement.
Nathan, here's a
Don't care, want R.
Here's a reminder.
Don't care,
Nathan.
Want R. Hello?
Here's a reminder, Nathan. This is my show. I am very politely allowing you to.
You're not polite, you're not civil, you're a liar. You're not polite, this isn't civil. You lied to me. Don't think that lying to me about needing the R you lied about needing when you held it up in false dichotomy civil. You're not civil, you're a disgusting human being. And I'll talk to you like I'm in charge on your show, because I am. You haven't given me your measurement in reality for R. You've done not.
So
stop.
I do apologize,
stop.
folks.
Stop. Don't apologize. Give me R.
This is actually the first time I've ever actually done that. So I'm going to just try to salvage the conversation.
He's muted me.
Then we'll just
check it out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm now on Charles's show muted. Yeah, it's a good job I stream live as well, Charles, to show my audience that you muted me. So I'm asking for R and he's muting me.
So, Nathan, if we can actually have a conversation.
A conversation about R? Can we have a conversation about R?
So you have to figure out the shape of the Earth.
Yeah, you beg the question. We've covered that. We've covered that, Charles.
Okay.
We've covered that.
No, we actually haven't.
Yeah, we have. You covered that in false dichotomy. Yeah, you circle jerking funding.
Right?
We've covered that.
So you keep accusing me of requiring R.
Yeah, in false dichotomy. Yeah. Do you want me to cover it again? I'll cover it again.
Without knowing R.
Maybe you need to mute me while I cover it again. I'll just ignore you talking straight through me. I pointed out where you needed it. You needed it when you held it up in false dichotomy. You're going to deny that you needed it for the globe false dichotomy now. Deny that you needed it when you held it up in false dichotomy. You did. We've covered it. I won. You conceded. Now you can give me your R measurement in physical reality, the original question.
So I never conceded your point. I think
I won.
Nathan,
I won regardless. You circle jerked 3 times, said you didn't need it when I pointed out. Yeah, you circle jerked and said you didn't need it. Yeah, you circle jerked and said you didn't need it when I pointed out you held it up in false dichotomy. You denied and now you're going to rumpus me, pointing out where I won. I won when I pointed out you did need it, you held it up in false dichotomy.
So
then we moved back and now you're going to chant through me. Chant through the middle of me. I've won. He needed it in false dichotomy. Me saying that he needed it in false dichotomy is going to result in both of us talking at the same time because he's saying he won't concede it. So in other words, because he won't concede that he did need it when he held it up in false dichotomy, he's going to either mute me or talk through the middle or just decide that he hasn't lost when he has. He did need it. He's saying he doesn't. He's a liar. He needed it when he held it up in false dichotomy. I've given him an example. I've posted him a link with a quote. He's then said, oh, yeah, well, with the false dichotomy when I hold up my globe, which needs R, yeah, we're back to that. I've won that point. You're not going to segue away from it. We're back to R. You do definitely need it for the false dichotomy fallacy you held up in a video claimed to be not requiring R, and it does. So, where'd you get your physical measurement in reality of R, Charles? You may speak.
So I'm going to put you on mute for 1 minute. I've let you go for a minute. I'll put you on mute for 1 minute. Okay? And then
good job I'm live on my own show then, Charles, because when I interrupt you and point out that you're begging the question, they'll still hear me.
in the in the discussions on my channel, or I'm sorry, in the explorations on my channel,
Got to be muted.
I do not
Gotta be
require
shut down
that
on
the
Charles'
Earth
channel
is a
just for
sphere
my
or
own audience's benefit while he waffles on and holds a timer up about how long I've talked, because I've won. Yeah, I'm going to be the one in charge of the discussion when I'm winning. And Charles has held up a false dichotomy in a video he claimed he didn't need R in. So, as a subsequent result, he's going to shut me down so I cannot interrupt him while he waffles on at nausea about how long I've been talking and definitely doesn't provide an R measurement to his audience. So as he's decided to shut me down while he waffles on and babbles to his audience about how long I've been talking, I'll point out that he still isn't giving me an R measurement in physical reality. On an Earth he claims is a sphere. In a video he said he didn't need R when he held it up in false dichotomy. There we go. My summary is going to be given to my audience. He can waffle on about whatever the hell he likes with his mute button. See my light not flashing? The reason this light's not flashing is because I'm no longer part of the conversation, am I?
You're back on. You're live.
Oh, that's nice of you. So you had to mute me. So I've come on your neutral platform to be muted when I'm right, and you do need R when you hold it up in false dichotomy.
No, I just simply wanted to speak for 1 minute without interruption, and the only way I could do that was to mute you. So,
oh, really? I've
I'm
asked
happy
for
to have a
R.
conversation,
I'm only here
Nathan.
for one reason. I explained in the pre-show before we went live on your show.
Sure.
That I'm only here to get the R measurement in physical reality. I've asked about seven or eight times.
Yeah, well, but the presumption is that I require it from my explorations.
You do. You required it when you held it up in false dichotomy. Do you need that about 5 more times too? Because when you held it up in false dichotomy, smile for me, grin for me. That's right. That's where I've got you by the balls, Charles. Grin and drink. Yeah, dry mouth. Dry mouth. Yeah, that's because I'm winning, Charles. You needed it when you held it up in false dichotomy. Should we go around this circle about 5 more times? Maybe you should mute me when I point out that your denial of needing R in false dichotomy is actually you needing R for the false dichotomy fallacy you set up and then lied about needing R in it. Yeah, Charles? I just need the measurement for the R you used in that false dichotomy you're now lying about. You lying, smarmy, dry-mouthed little bitch. No respect will be given. You don't deserve it.
Okay, I'm going to put you on mute.
Yeah, you're damn sure you will be putting me on mute, so I can't interrupt you when you chat shit.
For a rebuttal. The whole point of this conversation was to hopefully have some common ground. I was hoping that we would be able to have a civil conversation.
So he's going to waffle on about how I've been behaving, about civil discourse. All I'm doing is asking for R. All I asked for before I got here was for R. I asked him, he pinned it. He still hasn't answered it. He's denied needing it, and now he's going to waffle on about civil disclosure. There's nothing civil about lying to your face. He's not civil, so I will not be civil with him anywhere I meet him. He's not civil. He's a lying sack of shit who grins, nice little tell on camera for my audience, when he's caught. Definitely needs R. He held it up in false dichotomy. He's just going to mute me when I point that out to my audience and waffle on about how long I've been babbling about how I win, because he hasn't given me an R measurement, the only thing I'm here for.
Thus far, but I'll just let that slide off my back. But I would appreciate that you try to tone things down a little bit. All right. Oops. Okay, Nathan, you're back on.
Sorry, why'd you keep muting me?
So
why'd you keep muting me? Why'd you keep muting me? Why'd you keep muting me? I thought I was back on. Just back on, but I'm going to talk over you immediately. Just grin for me. Why'd you have to put me on mute? So I'm being muted here. Why are you timing me and putting a camera up? Is there a limit on how much I can talk?
You're still live.
Yeah, I realise. I'm asking why you're muting me.
It's the only way I can speak without being interrupted.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm interrupting you as instructed in the pre-show when you said if there's an overriding justifiable reason to interrupt, i.e. when someone says, I don't need to assume R, and then a reason why you have assumed R with a demonstration. See that grin, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah? That's him realising how screwed he is. Yeah. Maybe hide your face with the timer. See that grin? That's me pointing out where he used R in false dichotomy in his video. Yeah? He definitely needed R. He's lying about it. I'm here to point out he lies. And then when we establish that he definitely needs R, he used it in that false dichotomy fallacy he had, then we're going to get to him giving me the measurement. Bearing in mind that if you lived on a sphere, ladies and gentlemen of Charles and my audiences, if you lived on a sphere, he should just be able to rattle off where he got R from. But he and I both know that Al-Biruni measurements of R require a flat plane in the first instance. And he's denying even needing R. Saying, I don't need R, I can go out and do backyard observations and don't need to assume it. I'll just assume it later in false dichotomy and lie about it to my audience and to anybody else who's watching. So you're a liar, Charles. That's the only reason I'm here, to point out your lie. And every time I point it out, you smirk, and grin.
So what I want to clarify for the audience is when Nathan and I were back in the green room pre-show, the concept of interruption came up, and I said a little bit of light interruption, as people are doing a little banter, is okay. I did not say that you could justify an interruption because of a logical point. So I just want to make sure that's clarified.
Thank you for clarifying that, Charles. I said I was only here because I wanted to get an R measurement. It's the only reason I'm here, I said. And yet I've asked about, I think it's in excess of 10 times. And now I'm being interrupted in the civil discourse. Very civil of you to interrupt me, because it's obviously very painful me to get back on track and ask you for an R measurement in physical reality. I mean, if we're on a sphere, you'd think you'd just rattle that off immediately. You wouldn't think it'd need to come your way 10 times after being clarified specifically in a comment you pinned that was why I was coming, and in the pre-show. I think we should clarify how civil we need to be. I don't see you lying about the false dichotomy fallacy where you assumed R, about you lying. That's not civil. That's you being a lying shit. So I don't know why you think you deserve to now mute me when I object, because you deny that you needed R when you held it up in false dichotomy. I gave you an example. Then you went on to lie again and said, no, I didn't. Yeah, you're a liar, Charles. That's right.
So,
but you still haven't given
Nathan,
me R. Where's your measurement of R in physical
what's on
reality?
The screen right now.
I haven't quite finished. It's very civil of you to interrupt. Just the 11th rendition of me asking you for an R measurement in physical reality. Don't deny you need it. You needed it for the false dichotomy, so give me the measurement of it.
I'll let you go for about 15 more seconds, and then I'll cut you off.
Oh, will you? I'll ask you for 15 more seconds. Give me R. That's the 12th rendition of me asking him for R, the comment he pinned. Do you want it 13th time? I'd like your measurement of R. Give it me now.
Okay, 39 to 59 miles. So
where'd you measure it? Stop. No. Stop. Stop. That's not a measurement. That's a number. Measurement. Are you thick? Sorry, Socratic method. Hello? Hello?
You can't measure a tangent to a curve unless you know the radius.
Have I been muted again? Have I been muted?
This is actually an exponential
I have indeed been muted, ladies and gentlemen. So he's blarted out 39.59. That's his assumption that he denied needing. Now he's popped me on mute to give a little presentation to subterfuge away from the fact he hasn't given me a measurement. So you muted me again, Charles?
Yeah, because you cut me off.
Yeah, so you've got to mute me. I see. So it seems very unreasonable, very neutral platform-based where you mute your guests. Why'd you invite me to mute me?
I've asked politely.
Yeah, you blurted out a number. I'll get back to what before I was muted. You blurted out 39.59. I very specifically asked you for A. I'll slow down, even though it's the 13th rendition. Measurement in physical reality. Can you give me that, please? It's only the 14th time I've asked for it. It's the only reason I'm here.
I don't have a tape measure that long.
A tape measure? What are you talking about?
Yes.
So you can't measure
I cannot measure the radius of the
Earth
Earth with my tape measure.
How is it established to be measured then, Charles, if you can't do it?
Well, Eratosthenes did a nice job.
No, he had to assume the Earth was flat. We've covered this already, you circle jerk. Sorry, you're going to interrupt my objection. Straight to interrupting me. Not very civil. I'm objecting to you circle jerking back to something I've already covered. You made it very plain. So he could... interrupting again. Do you want to mute me while I point out that we've already covered this and that he could do it on a flat plane, but for the fact that he begged... There's third interruption. Shall I get a timer out? Do you want me to get a timer out for my audience, Charles? I'll try and get to the end. Fourth attempt. So Eratosthenes, with his flat Earth you described, could assume that the Earth's a sphere, but I pointed out that was begging the question. We already covered that. I pointed out that where you begged the question was in a false dichotomy, and it had an R value. Now, he's not going to measure it that way, because he's going to be making assumptions. So, where else? Anything else other than this begging the question fallacy we covered at the beginning of the show? This isn't giving me a measurement of R, Charles.
So you've asked me for a method, and I gave you a method, and both of these methods require that we've already established the shape of the Earth.
So they both require we beg the question. Okay, so they both fail then. Sorry, Charles.
If the shape of the Earth is in dispute, you cannot use the method.
Charles, I've pointed out the fallacy. I've got to slow down because he just jumped straight over me. The fallacy of begging the question. Now, I know in the first instance you thought it was acceptable, like the interruption you're now doing, to justify it by saying it's not begging the question, and then
explain what you mean by begging the question?
And then, yeah, we go, he's just going to constant. Maybe you should mute me while I point out that we've covered this begging the question fallacy. It's a fallacious argument to assume one's outcome, Charles.
Can you explain exactly how this is a begging the question fallacy?
When you assume the outcome. When you assume Earth's a sphere.
Okay, so it seems that you're taking the Eratosthenes as a proof of the globe Earth when it assumes a globe Earth.
That would be begging the question, Charles. Thank you for clarifying my pointing out that this begs the question. Thank you.
Okay,
Charles.
Okay, no.
So can you not use it? Sorry, Charles. So can you not use it for a fourth time?
We're in complete agreement.
Stuttering much.
You cannot use
we're now clear that it's begging. We're now clear that when trying to prove Earth's a sphere, begging the question's not going to be tolerated. It's a logical fallacy, Charles.
Yes. So,
Charles, still talking. We're not going to assume the outcome.
You've asked me about
he's not going to let me summarise my win, is he? Of course not, ladies and gentlemen. It's devastating. Yeah, logical fallacy, begging the question. Don't use that again, please.
Okay, I won't, and I never have actually. So you've insisted on me about talking about R, which is step 2, find the radius of the Earth. Step 1 is to find the shape of the Earth, and you seem to skip that every single time we talk about this. I really wish you would focus in on step 1, which is to find the shape of the Earth, instead of focusing on step 2, finding the measurement of the radius.
Sorry, you don't appreciate, Charles, that it's already well and truly established and the majority of the Western world already assume they're on a sphere. You think it's necessary for us... Sorry, I've only got... Shall I hold my timer up? Go ahead, Charles. Obviously a justifiable interruption. Go ahead. Yeah, you smile for me. So just painful then. Wasn't a justifiable interruption like mine when I point out where I win. That was just you feeling the pain, needing to blart out and ejaculate through what I'm saying.
So Nathan, I would love to actually have a conversation with you. We have about 20 more minutes left in our show.
We are.
But what do you think about using some of the methods that I described?
You're summarising how we're having a conversation right now. Yeah, we are indeed in the middle of a conversation, Charles. You just yet to give me an R measurement. We all know that everybody in the Western world assumes they're on a sphere. You did it by way of false dichotomy, but you say we need to focus on whether or not we can establish that. No, it's well established. Now I just need a measurement of R. Not one that could work on a flat plane, but we can assume that flat plane's spherical and then start measuring things from there. That won't work. I need a different method of measuring R, because that's not working, Charles. Not one that works on a flat plane and can assume we're spherical and then move forward there. No, that doesn't work. It's about the 5th time I've told you that. So where'd you get your R measurement?
So you want to talk about the modus tollens?
Where'd you get R?
Like the black swan modus tollens.
Where'd you measure it? Where'd you measure R? What part of this aren't you? It's how many? Is it the 16th time I've asked him?
Yes, because you keep ignoring step 1.
Step 1, what? Assume Earth's a sphere, which is what the Western world already...
Step 1 is not to assume the shape of the Earth.
Sorry, didn't I just cover this literally 25 seconds ago, Charles? You're not listening. You're just ignoring every word I say.
We're not assuming the shape of the Earth. You can discover the shape of the Earth.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, we established that.
If you make a careful study.
Oh, my God. We have established that you definitely beg the question and you definitely need R, Charles. Yeah?
How? Exactly how?
Because that's what you assume the Earth is.
No, if you
welcome to Flat Earth.
Presentations,
well, then welcome to Flat Earth.
If you watch any of my presentations, the Earth could be flat, the Earth could be a sphere, or it could be some other shape.
If it could be a sphere, then you'll need a radius. Sorry, if in that false dichotomy that you lied about needing R for, the Earth could be a sphere, as you've just stated, that's your begging the question fallacy. Then that sphere, as stated, go on. What's your interruption?
Could be a rhombic dodecahedron.
That's sorry, that was the non sequitur fallacy I pointed out. Sorry, Charles. Sorry, you thought it was a worthy interruption for the second attempt with a non sequitur fallacy?
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't, Charles. Thank you. Can you stop interrupting me?
So can
no, I'll rather get to the end of the false dichotomy that requires
R.
No, he's going to give me the second rendition of his non sequitur and then decide that he's going to take it from there. No, Charles, I was in the middle of pointing out that your false dichotomy with a globe on one side of it has got a sphere value of R that I want to know the measurement of. All you're doing is dancing away from a physical measurement of R that doesn't require something that can work on a flat plane. But if I ultimately assume that the measurement taken on a flat plane works on a sphere, that I've covered also. So where are you getting the measurement of R in physical reality, Charles? Still asking the same question.
That's step 2. You skip step 1.
Okay, step 2. Where'd you get R?
You can't step. You can't.
Sorry, yeah. Where'd you get R? Step 2. Where'd you get R?
Oh my goodness.
Laugh it up. Yeah, okay. We'll call it step 2. Now tell me where you measure R in physical reality.
You can't skip step 1. That's
okay.
Kind
we've already established that you assume the Earth's a sphere, Charles. As do a lot of the Western. Yeah, I'm still talking.
I'm still talking.
Yeah, I'm still talking.
But we haven't.
Yeah, I'm still talking. Yeah, we've already established that you assume the Earth's a sphere, Charles. That's step 1. Yeah, you definitely do, and you definitely need an R for that. Now you're going to tell me where you measure it, rather than chuckling and segueing. We've done enough of that. Where'd you measure R? Go.
It says proceed to step 1. I'm not sure what that means.
Sorry, you just want to keep begging the question indefinitely and never getting to the actual measurement of your fundy sphere belief. I want to see a measurement of R in physical reality. You can't give it me.
Yes,
it's obvious.
But I have successfully completed step 1.
I'm still talking.
But you have not.
Yeah, I'm still talking.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't give me an R measurement, Charles. Furthermore, we've debunked the tangent point Earth curve edge horizon. The Earth curve. I'm still talking. Still talking.
Now we can
still
talk
talking.
about tangents.
Still talking.
Still talking. Okay.
Yeah, I am. I'm the one in charge of this discussion because I've won. We've debunked Earth's sphere radius 3959 because you haven't got a sphere edge for a horizon anymore. You haven't got a tangent point horizon. It's all refracted as you told Chemo. So we've won. It's the end of your discussion here. All you can do is offer up subterfuge. It's all you've done the entire time. Not giving me an R measurement. All you keep doing when I ask you for it is saying, oh, we've got to go back to begging the question of Earth being a sphere. Yeah, I know you'd do that, Dumbo. Now let's get the R measurement in physical reality, please. Laugh it up!
Ragadoo says, Nathan is conceding step 1 that the Earth's shape is established.
No, I assume you assume the Earth's a sphere. That's not me conceding Jack.
Measurement.
Oh, what a wanker. So that's respectful, and is it, what, taking that as a win? Me saying, yeah, I know you assume the Earth's a sphere. That's Nathan assuming the sphere. I win. What a great win, you smarmy shit. Meanwhile, I'm still waiting for an R measurement, Charles.
So I've already given you the R measurement.
No, you haven't.
That's because I've done step 1.
No, you haven't.
But you have not completed step 1.
No. On a measurement that you can do on a flat plane.
In school.
Sorry, why is it that we're always going back to the exact same thing?
The guy who's ahead of you one grade.
Again. Yeah, so let's stick Charles on my stream on mute, because I've just realised he stuck me on mute to waffle on indefinitely and not give me an R measurement. So he's already given it me. So you've already given me the R measurement. No, you didn't.
All right. So, Nathan, why don't we move on to, say,
not giving R? Move on, not give R. No, right. That's the only reason I'm here. I told you I'm only here for one reason. I'm not moving on to anything.
Because it's kind of tedious, you know, when you just repeat yourself over and over again.
Tedious when I say you need R and you tell your audience you don't really need it. And then I point out where you need it in a false dichotomy, where you lose. You don't want to actually concede you've lost, where you had R in your false dichotomy, because you don't need it, right? Yeah, you do. Now I want the measurement for it.
You've never established where I need R?
In the false dichotomy fallacy, that's another lie. Do you want me to explain it again? Stop. Lie. Hello? Laugh? Yeah, I'm going to point out that Charles is lying. So, Charles, maybe you need to mute me while I point out that you're a liar. Charles is a liar. He's just claimed I did not point out. Now he's going to interrupt because it's painful to point out that you're a liar. So Charles is now going to interrupt me pointing out that he's a liar.
Earth is a sphere.
You're a liar, Charles. Oh, he has muted me. So I'm going to do the same on my stream. Having been muted by Charles, he's a liar. He said nobody pointed out to him where he assumed R. I've pointed out to him on 5 separate occasions that in his false dichotomy, he had Earth a sphere with an R value. That's where he assumed Earth's a sphere, and all he can do when I point out that I've won is mute me. So, ladies and gentlemen of the globe-believing audience, why would it be that I don't like these neutral platforms? Well, it's because they very overtly mute you when you win. He says he didn't assume an R value. Yeah, he did. He assumed it in his false dichotomy fallacy. I've pointed it out to him, and what's the result? I've been muted by him. Shut down. Because he can't possibly concede that I've won, and he did indeed assume R in his false dichotomy fallacy. Just mute the guest and move on regardless. Isn't that right?
To say about that, Nathan?
Sorry, I wasn't. I just muted you on my stream like you did on yours. Once I figured out that you'd muted me, I muted you. And then carried on talking to my audience about how you did definitely lie about needing an R value for the false dichotomy fallacy. I've pointed out where your lie occurred. You say you don't need R. I pointed out that there's an R in your false dichotomy fallacy. You lie to your audience, say you've never needed to use it, and then mute me.
So I've never needed to use R to...
He used it in a false dichotomy fallacy where he held up a globe Earth against a flat Earth. That's a lie.
Okay, so...
Not okay. A lying shit lying to me and his audience. He needs R. He used it in his false dichotomy fallacy. He's perpetually lying over and over again about not needing it when he does. I've pointed out he needed it in his false dichotomy. And now he's talking straight through the middle of me, pointing out his lie. And if he doesn't like it a bit more, he'll mute me on his own stream, won't you, Charles? Even though I'm live to a different audience that hears me still when you mute me. Yeah? Very fair of you, by the way, muting me when I point out your lie. Yeah, I point out Charles's lie, that he definitely needed R in that false dichotomy fallacy he used, and all he did was grin, and then when he lied again about not needing it, he muted me. So I win. He definitely needed R, he had it in a false dichotomy, and he mutes me when I point out that he's lying about it now. So what are you going to do, liar? Keep lying about that R-based false dichotomy that you say you don't need R in. You're a liar. That's why I'm here. R measurements that you're trying to get away from. You haven't given me them yet. You're still a liar. Well, you're lying about needing R.
The unfortunate truth, and I would appreciate not being interrupted. The unfortunate truth is that
you've got a sweaty head. Rub your head for me. Rub that head. Now. Rub your head for me, Charles.
Anyone can go...
Yeah, straight on mute. Yeah, he's definitely feeling the pain. That's why he's rubbing his head.
We'll discover very quickly.
Yeah, waffle on. Ignore that I've lied. Ignore that I've lied completely and stick the guest straight back on mute. Here we are. My light is not flashing. Charles has completely muted me. That's what happens when you go on a show and win. When you point out someone's a lying piece of shit scumbag and they've lied again about needing R in the false dichotomy fallacy they say about that, they mute you. They mute you. So I then mute them on my show and point out that he's a lying scumbag and has held up a false dichotomy that definitely needed R. But he lied about it on several separate occasions and keeps muting me when I point it out. Lovely, lovely treatment you get when you're a flat earther and you point out where someone's a liar. They just mute you.
So, do you have anything to say about the black swan image?
It needs an R value in the assumption that we assert on your behalf. Where's the R value? 3959 in modus tollens measured. It's the only reason I'm here. I've asked you 16 times. And all you do is mute me when I point out that you lie when you say you don't need it.
Actually, I mute you when you interrupt me nonstop.
It's perfectly reasonable to be interrupted when you lie. You say you don't need it. I say you do. It was in the false dichotomy fallacy. I've said it 8 times. And then you mute me because it's unreasonable to point out you're a liar. No, that's totally reasonable, Charles. You're a liar. You needed it in the false dichotomy fallacy, you liar. Maybe mute me because I'm calling you a liar in front of your own audience. Where you needed R, that you lied about, was in that false dichotomy fallacy you set up, Charles. That's where you needed R. You're too dumb to realise that. No, I know you're not. You're just a liar who'll interrupt me. Maybe mute me when I point out you're a liar. So you're interrupting it again.
Want to discuss the
I'm definitely the one pointing out that lie. And what are you going to do? Mute me? Because I'm pointing out that you needed R in the false dichotomy, Charles.
So do you see the image on the screen right now?
I'm here to get R, Charles. In the part of the modus tollens that's got R, you assume it. You've lied about needing to assume it and denied that you needed it in the false dichotomy. That's the only reason I'm here.
What's interesting to me about this image is that there's no distortion visible. Specifically, platform habitat has straight lines.
They're going to ignore me.
Whereas in the black swan image, it's
being muted and ignored.
Lines.
What's going on? You're completely ignoring me.
So we have this.
Sorry, you're going to completely ignore me.
I can still hear you, but
But you're just going to completely ignore me. So if you can't mute me because you can't get away with it because I'm pointing out to my live audience. So because you can't mute me, you're going to fundy mute me.
The predicted hidden is 37
So just carry on talking straight through my objection. So in other words, just don't stop talking.
Can you see that?
don't tolerate any interruptions that are reasonable. Just keep talking indefinitely. So fundy mute is what you'll use. So if you can't mute me for your own live stream, you'll just fundy mute me and talk straight through me. Yeah, that's because you're being asked for R and pointed out that you're a liar. I point out you're a liar. You say the same lie and mute me. So I'm only here to find out why you're a liar about needing R, and you're going to fundy mute and talk straight through. So got no choice. Got to use my own mute button. He's a fundy scumbag liar who'll mute his opponent when he's proved to be a liar, and then move on to the different subject rather than conceding his lie. So you're not going to concede your lie.
What do you think about that image?
I think you're a liar. I've got nothing else to talk about other than the fact you lied about needing R in the false dichotomy fallacy. You think it's tedious because you're a liar, so you'd rather move on? I'm not moving on. You're a liar, Charles. And for the entire duration, unless you mute me, of course, I'm going to tell your audience until I leave that Charles lied about needing R, he needed it in the false dichotomy fallacy. When I point it out, he says I didn't and then mutes me when I object. Or
for the record,
talk straight through the middle of me.
I only muted you when you refused.
Yeah, you muted me, didn't you, bitch? That's what you all need to do when I win. When you guys lie about needing R, you'll mute me. That's what you need to do when you lose.
But the interesting thing, Nathan, is this
you
is
don't have
the
an hour
20th episode.
That's interesting that I've asked 18 times for an hour measurement and haven't got one.
And
I haven't got an hour measurement from you.
First time, Nathan, this is literally the first time in 20 episodes that I've ever had to mute a guest. So that's fascinating. That's quite an achievement.
That's fascinating. I've asked for R.
Think about that.
I've asked for R in excess of 2,000 times. One person.
It's 39.
Oh, my bad. Interrupt immediately.
You just asked.
My bad. Yeah, so I've asked for R. Conspiracy Cats, I asked him in excess of 100 times. And like you, Charles, every time, we're up to 18 so far with you, he obfuscated every single time. Now, you had to mute me and talk through me and fundy mute me like you're doing now, because it's terrifying. When we point out that we've debunked the R measurement, you're going to get fundy muted.
How do you determine the shape of the Earth?
No, it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of a sentence.
That's step one.
It's perfectly
how would you
civil
determine the shape
to talk straight through the middle of your guest. Civil. Right, Charles? I win by asking for R measurements, which you haven't got. You'll tell your audience you don't need them.
How would you figure the shape of the Earth?
I'll point out an example where you do, because you've used them in false dichotomy, and you'll talk straight through the middle of me because you're really civil. Right, Charles?
So how would you determine the shape of the Earth, Nathan?
Why are you asking me? Burden of proof reversal fallacy. You've claimed R in your videos. I'm only here to find out where you got the measurements. I made it clear why I was here. You want to chit-chat with me about that shite? You can pay me.
Well,
you can
step
pay
one
me.
Is important that you complete before step two.
Or you can honour the very specific reason I'm here. Didn't I make it clear enough when you pinned it? You think I'm here to chit-chat about what I claim? No, you made a claim with chemo. It needed R. Where'd you measure it? 19 times.
So just to be clear, I claimed that refraction bends things down, right? And so there's no R measurement on what you see on the screen.
Yeah, there is.
I just said refraction bends things down. There's no R.
That's fascinating. Yes, refraction exists. However, in a sphere claim, when you need R, which you lie about, terrestrial refraction, otherwise known as atmospheric refraction, takes place in sphere-shaped air at a rate of R. Now, you may not know that because you may be ignorant and you probably start interrupting me as soon as I get to the end of this. But either way, terrestrial-based refraction, that's Earth-based, sphere-based refraction in atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, definitely needs R. Now, if you don't know that, because you're holding up actual refraction as opposed to globe model refraction, well, that's fine. We realise there's a bait and switch that idiots like you who are con artists use, because they'll talk about real refraction, like on screen, and then bait and switch people like me by talking about atmospheric refraction. Absolutely in requirement of R. So if you're going to assert this in terms of the black swan and its spheriness, you're going to need R. We're still back to R, because 7/6 in standard form, terrestrial refraction.
Yeah, all right,
otherwise,
well,
no, still haven't finished. Shut up. Shut up!
I'm going to mute you.
Oh, excuse me, you're going to mute me again because I haven't got to the end of my point.
The interesting thing is,
I'm talking about refraction. I'm talking about refraction in response to you. Yeah, that's right, Charles. Oh, you've muted me again. Oh, he's muted me again.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, he's muted me again. Yeah, got to mute my own stream because Charles has decided that hearing about 7/6R that he assumes with his R value needs me to be muted.
So
Hadn't got to the end
Nathan,
of my point. So 7/6R in standard form is the thing that's been Fundy muted through. It's got an R in it. Charles would rather mute me so he doesn't have to address this R value in atmospheric refraction. So he chanted through me and then muted me. Didn't you, Charles?
I'm just asking you a question.
Yeah, no, you'd rather be the one in charge of the questioning when I'm asking you about 7/6R.
This
You want to be
actually is
asking
my
me
show.
stuff.
That's it.
Yeah, you waggle that little penis that you've got in your hand there. Yeah? Charles, 7/6R in standard form is terrestrial refraction. You interrupted me before I got to the end of my statement and then decided you were going to ask me a question. I was
the end of
responding
your
to your
soliloquy?
refraction. It's still on screen and you're still interrupting me. Yeah, you guzzle that down while I have a little waffle on at you about your R-based refraction in atmosphere. That's not refraction. That's atmospheric refraction or standard refraction, globe refraction. In globe maths, when you've got sphere edge horizons called tangent points, that's got an R in it, Charles. Now, either you're ignorant of the globe's claim of refraction, that's terrestrial refraction, which definitely does have R, or you're a liar because you're currently on an I don't need R tip. And you've denied it even though you definitely need it in that false dichotomy. You lied about and are grinning about now, trying to hold back that little grin about that lie. The R in your false dichotomy is the same R in your refraction on a globe. Standard terrestrial atmospheric 7/6R. Refraction's definitely got an R, Charles. Not ignorant, just a liar.
All right.
Yes,
so,
you may
Nathan,
speak.
If you take a look at the fish tank, that has a flat bottom. And so you still have refraction curving down. There is no radius. There's no R. The point that light bends down when you have a gradient, in this case, it's sugar water. In our Earth's atmosphere, we have high pressure down low and low pressure up high. Light will bend down. Light will bend down if the Earth is flat. Light
Heard
will
you the
bend
first
down
time.
if the Earth is
Anything
a sphere.
new?
There's
Anything
no
new to
R
add to
needed.
that? Anything new? I heard you the first time. Now I'll respond again. Yes, refraction exists. Refraction on a globe in atmosphere needs R. What you have on... No. Oh, really?
No.
So sphere-shaped air not needing an R.
You could estimate it using R. But
So R
I'm
then.
happy to
Oh, I
throw
see.
out
So does
7/6R.
need R then. So you start with your concession.
You could-
So you start with your concession. So definitely got an R in it then. You could use...
No,
that's
you could
my
throw
win.
that out. That's an
Stop.
estimate.
Stop.
Right?
Stop.
That's an estimate.
Stop.
Just,
No,
I'm
that's my
happy to
win.
throw it out.
Stop. Stop, Charles. That's where I won. Yeah, don't start with your concession thinking this is my first rodeo. That's right, you can just use the R in the atmosphere. Yeah, that's my point, Charles. Your atmosphere refraction needs R. What you've got on screen is refraction. That's not sphere refraction. That's got an R in it. So you can use it. Yeah, that's your concession, my win. So, given that globe... Stop, Charles. That's where I move on because I've won. Given that your globe-based refraction definitely needs R, I'd like a measurement of R before you start interrupting the question that's been the same 19th rendition's got to chant through it. Very painful. Yeah, I'll get to the end again for the 19th time. Given that your terrestrial-based refraction on a globe, that you can assume... Yeah, that's right, Charles, you can. You do. That's what you've got on a globe in atmosphere. That's got an R in it. And I want to know where it's measured. 20 times I've asked.
And thank you for the super chat, Johnny Ragadoo. So Nathan, we have about 7 minutes left. And do you have I don't know, any final thoughts for our audience?
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you a beautiful little summary, Charles. Oh, no worries. Yeah. In summary, Charles is a liar. He lies about needing R when he's got it held up in a false dichotomy fallacy in his models, and that's how he lies about it. You know, he'll smirk and stuff. But meanwhile, even though not quite the 100 renditions that Conspiracy Cats had, and obviously I got Fundy muted and chanted through when I asked him for his measurement of R we debunked, because he hasn't got one. So what's he got to do? Well, he's got to deny needing it. And when it's pointed out that it's being held up in false dichotomy, he'll mute me. Won't you, Charles?
I had no intention of muting you.
But you did.
It was only...
Yeah, but you did.
Well, it was only after you...
Yeah, you did, though. You did.
Yeah,
you needed to. Yeah, you needed to, Charles. We know. It's a shame. You let the side down on that score. Believe me. Believe me, Charles. I'm really glad you did.
And I want to thank CrowXE for the very generous...
yeah, me too. I want to thank all my super chatters, because that's really important when I've got an R measurement that's not being given. Maybe summaries instead of R measurements.
So, the fundamental question, though, getting back to step one, is like
where'd you get R measurements? No. We know you begged the question. We've covered that. You're going to summarise your shite.
Nathan.
I'll summarise you over the top. I'll just stick you on mute for my audience and wait till you stick me on mute. There he goes, straight on mute. Yeah, right. Well, I'll summarise my point again for my audience, Charles. Assuming the Earth's a sphere, step one doesn't get you an R measurement. Circle jerking constantly back to you're going to need to assume Earth's a sphere and talk about that indefinitely doesn't give you a measurement of R either, and you'll never give me one. None of these fundies can give me one. And when I point out when they lie about not needing one, they've definitely got it in a false dichotomy, they'll need to mute me. That's right. That's how this works.
So I think you can actually be very successful with that, Nathan.
What,
if you were to try them.
R? Where did I get R? Did you give me R when I was on mute, maybe? Did you give me a measurement of R? That's the only reason I came, Charles. I still haven't got what I came for.
3959 miles.
Didn't get the measurement, Charles. You dumb. You just think a number's a measurement in physical reality, and then you'll talk through me, blurting out the number. This is where you muted me last time, wasn't it, Charles? Yeah, blurting out 3959 isn't giving me a measurement in physical reality, and talking through me saying it for a fourth time. Yeah, that's civil. Very civil. I'd mute me, Charles, middle of my sentence that you need to talk through. I'd mute me so you can talk straight through it. When I point out that, yeah, you definitely need a measurement of that assumption. The one you denied needing, that 3959 you lie about needing. Yeah, where's the measurement for it, Charles? You haven't got one. I know it and you know it. And when I point out that you haven't got one and you can't get one anymore, you'll talk straight through me or mute me, which is precisely what you did, and I'm really glad you did. Thanks for having me, Charles. Just for Charles's audience, if you want to be on the side of truth, subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980 and Nathan Oakley respectively. All you'll get here is lies about not needing R when it's being held up in false dichotomy. Lies from Charles Flat Earth Math, because he's a liar. His son will be a liar too. He liked to talk about that on my stream.
Okay, so you can't talk about my kid like that. So thanks for coming by, Nathan. It does take a little bit of break.
I can talk about his kid like that. I will talk about his kid like that. That's how he obfuscated on my stream when he was in my chat. Decided that rather than answering and giving me a measurement of R, he also lied about needing R and then started talking about what his kids' names were. So he brought up his kids. That's why I'm bringing it up, as a little reminder to him that when I last asked him for R, he gave me all of his kids' names like I'd asked them for him. I don't care what his kids' names are. That's my way of pointing out to him that that's what he obfuscated with last time.
And thank you so very much, everybody. You guys have been great. This has been Flat Earth Civil Discourse, episode 20 with Nathan Oakley. We will be signing off. The chat's going to go for like maybe another couple minutes. So just be mindful of that. But thank you very, very much for being here. I really appreciate that. Bye-bye.
Yeah, same to my live stream. Massive thanks to all of you who joined live. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.